listeners questions on the CRV, can we touch base on the WRV and then go right into ERV from there, if you would, please?
Yep. So we talked about CRV, and that was the system or the method that was most used by the military. They also used two other methods way back, between the 70s and the 90s. And the next popular one they used was one called ERV, and that's short for Extended Remote Viewing. Now this is completely different than CRV because there isn't much of a structure to it. And essentially, whereas in CRV the remote viewer is wide awake at a table with a pen and paper, in ERV it's completely different, and the remote viewer is led down on a couch or a bed, and they're almost at the state of being asleep.
Twilight sleep.
Absolutely, yes. They're very, very relaxed. They're almost at the stage of, almost snoring. And what that happens then is they have a person working with them, and the person's called a monitor, and that monitor will ask them questions. So they'll say to them something like, okay, we want you to go to the target. The target is XX123. Can you tell me what you see from above? And the remote viewer in an ERV state will then just talk into a microphone and tell him what he sees coming into his head, which is completely different with CRV, because with CRV we tend to write everything down.
So they free associate, in other words.
Yes. It's very, very relaxed. It's very, very what we call free form. You're almost in an altered state of consciousness, on the edge of sleep, and there's no writing or sketching. You're just telling your perceptions as you see it come into your head, and it's all recorded.
But you have to have some kind of a monitor on each and every one of those, correct? Or
yes, you do. Whereas on CRV, you don't need a monitor. You can do it alone, because it's essentially you.
You are your own monitor.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because even if you were tape recording the ERV session, you have to have someone guiding you.
Sure.
You have to have someone slightly guiding you. Yes. You're half
have
asleep.
A time delay recorder that's throwing the questions in your face while you're laying there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the ERV, and that was used quite extensively, mainly in the beginning years from 70s to 80s, and then from the 80s to 90s it was mainly CRV, and then late in the 90s they brought in some civilian people into the military program, and these civilian people were generally already trained psychics. And they brought a new technique in called WRV, which is written remote viewing. Now I have to say, from my research of the documentation, it doesn't seem like this was very accurate. But essentially what it was the remote viewer or psychic would put themselves into an altered state of consciousness with a pad and some paper and a pen in front of them, and then they would ask their channel or psychic guide for information, and they would go into a state where they automatically kind of wrote the information on a pad. And we do have several members in our group that do automatic writing on a regular basis. Is that very similar? Well, I don't know, Daz.
I mean, is it? I wondered. Is that similar?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Is it one and the same, or just very similar?
It's one and the same, but when they do it within WRV, they do it within the protocols of being blind, and it has to be planned, and there has to be, the targets have to have feedback. The only thing that makes anything called remote viewing different from any other psychic technique is all remote viewers have to work within those rules. So that your project has to be planned. It can't be spontaneous. You have to be totally blind to the target and not know anything about it at all. And at the end of it, there has to be a form of feedback so you can say whether your psychic data is accurate or not.
Well, no wonder the military was behind that. It sounds very protocol, formalized, very specific.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they spent the 20 million on, is trying to come up with a psychic approach that they could use in operations and make it credible, because it's very hard to take, as Kelly and me know, it's sometimes very hard to take a normal psychic to a professional person, because there's a lot of stigmatism towards the name of psychic.
Of course.
And that's what they wanted to do. They wanted a no-nonsense approach to getting pure data down on paper that they give to an intel analyst and say, this comes from our source, is it accurate? Well, listen, Daz, we're going to still have to touch on the TRV, SRV, and the Hawaii one, but
and some mysteries.
We're going to take a quick break.
Too.
We just
need to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, answer those as quickly and succinct as we can, and then we got a few more things to throw your way. So we'll be back in a little bit.
Hi, this is Jessica Dorvaj, host of the Where Is My Guru show, and you are listening to Hear Women Talk Radio.
When you're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, home of Zeus Broadcast Network and Hear Women Talk, there's a wonderful adventure that you should try. Carolina Safari Jeep Tours.
Go to www.carolinasafari.com and check out Carolina Safari. Mention Hear Women Talk and get a discount from Carolina Safari Jeep Tours.
See another side of Myrtle Beach. Get wild with wildlife. Explore history, nature, and mystery on a Carolina Safari Jeep Tour.
Have you always wanted a reading by a famous psychic detective or medical intuitive? I'm Annette, hostess of Annette Martin's Psychic World, where you can call in or go to our chat room to get a free reading on my radio show. Our expert guests will be talking about ways to help you in your life. So give us a call and ask a question. Please join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Annette Martin's Psychic World.
Hello, race fans. This is Jeff Gilder, creator of RacersReunion.com. When you're in Myrtle Beach, check out my favorite, the Caravelle Resort. The Caravelle Resort has a golf department and concierge with golf privileges at virtually every course on the Grand Strand, including the coveted Dunes Club.
And ladies, pamper yourself with Caravelle's Studio Spa, featuring services such as Swedish massage, heated stone therapy, reflexology, manicures, pedicures, facials, and more. Awaken your senses with the most requested massage and spa therapies.
The Caravelle Resort, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 800-507-9145. Get the best rate on the Grand Strand when you use promo code RACERS at thecaravelle.com. 800-507-9145.
Hi, this is Judy Collins from Judy's House of Oldies, and you're listening to Hear Women Talk Radio on the Zeus Radio Network.
Police psychics. Find me.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Kelly Snyder and Valerie Graham with our guest today, DAZ Smith, the remote viewer. And we've been covering as best we can all of the stages and all of the different remote viewing techniques that there are out there. CRV, WRV, and ERV. We still have TRV, SRV, HR, VG. And Val did have a question about a stupid goat, so go ahead, Val.
Yes, one of our listeners had asked on the chat line, which goes in and out, but we'll talk about that in a moment because I think you're affecting that a bit, Daz. But anyway, did you see the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats, starring George Clooney? And if so, what did you think about it?
I did see the movie, and it was very comedic. Which is a positive and a good thing, really.
Yes.
Some of the movie's true. I have to say this. You know, they did try experiments where they did try to stop the hearts of goats.
With their mind.
With their mind, yes. You know, in amongst other things that they tried to do, and that was part of the program called the Project Jedi, where they were trying to make the ideal complete future soldier, a soldier that could you know, do things with his mind and become invisible. So they did try that kind of thing, but at the same time the movie did kind of paint psychics and people trying this kind of stuff in a slightly nutty negative light, which I didn't like, because there are people like me, you know, and people like working with Kelly, and you know, we're not nutty. We are trying to help police and everyone else, you know, find missing people. You know, I don't charge. You know, I've been doing it for 13 years. I don't charge anyone for any